Hello and welcome back to Fulham Fan News. It's been a week or so since we've been here, but there hasn't been a lot going on with Fulham. Tonight I'm joined by Kieran. Kieran, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Thank you, mate. It's been a while, but obviously not too much to be covering, to be honest. And it's been a little bit sad as a Fulham fan, but we're okay. We're nearly here. The season's on the horizon, and I'm looking forward to watching the football again.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, you've got to stay positive, haven't you? Especially as a Fulham fan. We all know that it's getting close to Tony Khan time, as we say, and
It is indeed.
the last few weeks of the window are probably going to be quite busy, considering everyone's starting to say Fulham want wingers, they want a striker, they want an eight. So yeah, I mean, I think we will get a few players through the door. Obviously, timing is always the problem with Fulham. It always has been since the Khans have come in, but I'm still confident we'll get a few players over the line and good quality players as well. Obviously, the big elephant in the room is Rodrigo Muniz and his potential departure. I'm not worried at all about Leeds United, no matter how much they say that they're a bigger club and this, that, and the other. At this moment in time, he doesn't want to fight relegation in the Premier League. But the big problem is Atalanta have sold Retegui and have 60 odd million euros burning a hole in their pocket, sorry. And yeah, it's a big worry because they play in the Champions League. He's
Mm.
heading into a World Cup year, and he potentially would go there. Well, I assume he'll go there as their main man because he'd be their record transfer signing. So there's a lot of rumours floating about that one. Kieran, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a bit messy, really, because there's been a lot of throughout the whole Premier League. There's been so many strikers and forwards like moving and having so much like trouble with their transfers. I mean, one of the big ones in the news at the moment is Isak refusing to play for Newcastle, thinks he's going to Liverpool. Liverpool signed Ekatike. It's all up in arms. It's a massive mess. And obviously Brentford potentially losing Visser as well. It's been a year of the forwards, I think, and unfortunately Fulham are now facing this big problem where their number 9, Rodrigo Muniz, obviously didn't play against Frankfurt on the weekend. People did speculate whether he played in the behind closed doors friendly. I'm not sure if he did or if he did refuse to play. However, the fact that this is now coming after him not playing is particularly worrying. I think any player, it would be silly not to want to play Champions League football, and Atalanta will offer him that. And I think it wouldn't be silly for him to turn down Champions League football. But I think it's just come at a really bad time. Because I would absolutely love to see Rodrigo Muniz play for a Champions League side, albeit not an English one, because that'd be quite heartbreaking. And I think Atalanta will obviously give him a good run out as their main man. I'm not worried about Leeds, as you say, because they're Leeds. Need I say any more? But yeah, I think it's a shame the way it's happening, and obviously Fulham are standing firm. We don't want to sell our main man when we've already got massive holes to fill in the squad, considering how quiet it's been in this window and how most of us fans are losing our minds. But I said on a post earlier to someone that if the fee is over 50 million, I think it's an offer worth accepting as long as we have a replacement coming in basically at the same time. I know you're mentioning in a minute about Taremi from Inter Milan, the closest rumored one. So yeah, I think it would be a shame to see him leave, especially after the way Mitro left a couple of seasons back. And we all got so excited about Muniz being our main man, and he's really done so well over the last couple of seasons. So I'm interested to see where it goes. But if we accept anything, I think it will be for a fee of over 50 million. So for now, we're holding firm.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much covered everything. I agree with the holding firm thing. It does really remind me of the Mitrovic saga a few years ago. It is really cutting deep, to be honest, because it does take us all back to that period of time and how close it was to the season as well. It was very similar
Yeah.
time. It was very similar timing.
I think the difference as well, like a couple of seasons ago, what softened the blow was the fact that we had already made signings, whereas this season we've not made any signings and we're losing our star striker. Hence, it's like a two-punch knockout in it, as you would.
It
So,
is, yeah, it is in a way, but also, like you say, you can't begrudge him wanting to move to a Champions League
mm,
side in a World Cup year, be the main man in a in a league that one of the top five leagues in Europe, and Atalanta are a very good side. So I don't begrudge him wanting the move. If he did refuse to play, that is a bit concerning for me. I don't want, well, not don't want, I don't want players like that playing for Fulham. If you're going to refuse to wear the shirt, then like you say, 50 million euros, which is apparently how much we want, then fine. If that's what he wants and that's what Fulham agree to, then fine. Let's leave it at that. Obviously, I want him to stay. I want him to sign a new contract, and I can't blame him because he's on pennies compared to other players in the squad. Even I think even Josh King, according to some websites, is on more than him, which is just crazy. He deserves
mm,
more. Um, but yeah, it'll be heartbreaking to see him go, especially this close to the season. The only thing that I do think is that maybe if he did go, it would spark a little bit of a flurry of activity for Fulham.
mm,
That money would be freed. Obviously, 25% of it has to go to Flamengo, who they're going to get a nice windfall out of it if he does go. And yeah, I think then it would spark a little bit of a flurry. It would free up some cash. Also, Harvey Elliott looks like he could be off to Leipzig. So that'd be another 8 to 10 million euros coming our way. I hate
mm.
talking in euros, but everything's done in euros, isn't it? Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, let's park Muniz there. Hopefully, we see him against Brighton. I know the under 21s are in action this evening, and
Hmm.
his replacement last Saturday, Aaron Napalu, is on playing tonight. So you'd think
Mm.
that there would be two strikers in the squad on Saturday, and one of them will be Rodrigo Muniz.
Can
Um,
hope so.
let's move on to some potential incomings, and let's talk about Shakhtar Donetsk winger Kevin. We need to talk about Kevin, which is a brilliant movie, by the way. But if anyone hasn't seen it,
I was waiting to see how long it would take for a Kevin reference. I mean, the only movie reference I can think of is Home Alone, but I'm trying to think about how I can weave that into the next part.
yeah, well, there's a movie called We Need to Talk About Kevin. It's Ezra Miller. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
he stars in it as a young lad with autism. Fantastic movie. If anyone hasn't seen it, anyway, moving back to football. Um, yeah, so yeah, a fantastic player. He looks like an absolute world beater off the left wing. 22 years of age, currently out with an injury, unknown return date. Fulham do love an injured player, so. Um, two bids apparently. One roughly around 30 million euros with add-ons, taking it to 40 million euros, and one 37 million euros with add-ons, which we don't know where they've taken it because the Romano tweet didn't mention how far the add-ons took it. They reportedly want 50 million euros. This is a huge bid. I mean, if this was to be pulled off this deal, it would be absolutely massive. It'd be our record signing.
I mean, I'm quite split really. I think obviously on one hand he's injured, and as you say, Fulham love an injured player, which is baffling. However, I think if he's fit, I think he'd be quite good because why would we want to bid so much money and potentially break our record signing fee for like someone like Kevin? I mean, Brazilian winger from Shakhtar Donetsk. Never heard of him before Fabrizio's bomber the other night. And then next thing you know, we're bidding all sorts of money for him. I'd love to see him come in because, as Joe rightfully said in a couple podcasts, we need a winger with attacking output. And from watching a few of the compilations that you've retweeted, um, we've seen what he can do, and he's great. But obviously, if he's injured, then it's not great because we kind of need someone that can play for us straight away when they come in and make the bench and make the first team. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. If we're bidding, if how much was the latest bid?
37 million euros
37. Well,
plus
37. I don't
add-ons.
know. Plus add-ons.
Yeah, but we don't know
That's
what the add-ons are. There's nothing
yeah. I,
Romano tweet.
I I- I'm very intrigued to see whether we bid again and if it's any more because I feel like if he's injured, surely we shouldn't. bid again, and we should try and go for someone else. But then again, I don't know. Obviously, if he's going to return quite quickly, then I'm sure it'd be fine. But and obviously, like if we're linked to Reece Nelson as well, and we're linked to Chukwueze as well, and I'm sure why do we not want to prioritise one of these other wingers that are off fit and can get straight in the squad rather than Kevin, who is apparently injured at the moment. So yeah, it's an exciting transfer, but I'm intrigued to see where it goes, to say the least.
Yeah, part of me thinks it's a bit of a smokescreen. There might be someone else we're
Mm.
looking at, and this is just a bit of a smokescreen to throw people off. Just because I don't think Fulham are going to go and spend 50 odd million euros on a guy who a lot of people
Yeah,
haven't heard of.
it's very rare for them to splash that much money on someone as well. Like unless
They've
they
never done it.
genuinely knew he was going to be like the next coming of Messi or something.
Well, they've never done it. They've never spent that sort of money on.
Yeah.
Smith Rowe is the record
Mm.
transfer. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a bit wary of that one. Um, Moving on to, like you say, you said Reece Nelson, Chukwueze, they're both wingers that seem to be flitting in and out. We talk to them, we don't talk to them, we talk to them, we don't talk to them.
Mm.
Raheem Sterling's gone quiet. I do expect it to come back before the end of the window. I really do.
Mm.
Zinchenko, he's now talking about seeing out his contract at Arsenal, and there's been links to Fenerbahce. I do
Mm.
feel that something is coming for Fulham, and I do feel that once we get one, we'll start to see a little bit of movement. Um, but the main one today is Mehdi Taremi, and obviously a lot of people are putting two and two together, getting five, thinking that Taremi is Rodrigo Muniz's replacement. He's 33 years old. I don't see it as a replacement. I can't fathom why it would be a replacement, but I don't think it's as bad an option to come in as a lot of people seem to think. He got 9 assists, 1 goal last season in very limited minutes for Inter Milan. He was behind Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram. Um, he didn't have a great time of it at Inter at all. If he is willing to come in and give his all for Fulham, apparently reports are saying he's willing to drop his wages to come. Well, why not? If it's a replacement for Carlos Vinicius, if it's a rotation option, if we're going to see Raul, Taremi, and someone else, say, come in if Muniz does go, or Muniz and someone else, then why not? I think he's a good striker. I think he's got pedigree wherever he's been, pretty much, other than 1 year at Inter Milan. I'm not against it if the fee's right and if the wages are right. I'm not against it. A 1 year contract, a 1+1 contract, something like that. But I know it's another stopgap. I understand Fulham do that a lot. Stopgap, stopgap, stopgap. But if he's still got something to offer, apparently he spoke to Ashkan Dejagger as well, which that's a throwback. I used to love watching him play, and so why not? Why not? I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, I think you've covered it quite perfectly there. To be honest, I think I'd personally like to see him as a rotation striker. And I don't think he should be Rodrigo Muniz's replacement. Should Rodrigo Muniz even leave? Because I feel like we should be aiming a little bit higher and signing some maybe a younger, youthful talent that can come through as a forward. Um, Off the top of my head, I can't really name any examples, but like I feel like Taremi would be a really good like third option striker replacing Carlos Vinicius, and that's at least one whole field. And then if Muniz does leave, I'm sure we can go with Raul and Taremi until January or something. But I feel like it would be a good addition. Could add a lot of experience, and obviously he's 33, so he's still probably got a few years in the tank. But even if not, we've seen what Marco Silva can do with players like Willian, players that are in their 30s and struggling for form. I'm not saying Taremi wasn't struggling for form, but obviously with his limited minutes at Inter, it's fair to say that he wasn't given an opportunity to show what he can really do. So yeah, I'd like to see him come through the door, but I guess we'll see what happens considering Fulham's quiet window. As you say previously, I think once one starts, it will snowball, and we'll have many through the door afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the squad and I think the squad's decent. I don't mind the squad. It just needs a little bit of beefing up in certain areas. I think we need a couple of wingers, a striker, an eight. So I think maybe four or five, depending. But obviously, you look at the size of the squad and you think to yourself, well, actually, a couple need to go for us to get five in, say. A couple will
Mm.
need to leave. So I do think there'll be outgoings as well. I hope it's not Rodrigo Muniz, but
I personally think that I've always said to myself since obviously it's been quite a slow window. I've been saying to myself, like, if we can have three signings by the end of the window, I'd say I'd be comfortable considering we've kept the current squad together, albeit depending on what happens with Muniz, etc. Unlike many teams that have completely lost all their assets, Brentford being the main one, they've been stripped of Norgard, Mumbermo, Visser, etc. So we're one of the sides that managed, with the side we had last year, we managed to get top 10. And with, I think, three additions, we can definitely establish ourselves top half of the table, maybe even pushing into Europe. Whereas some of the teams that were up and around us last year have not made too many signings either, and they've also lost some of their big players as well. So I'm thinking if you put it into perspective, we're in a pretty good position compared to some of the teams in the league. I mean, the newly promoted teams, I think they'll do quite well, really. This is completely separate, really, but I can see the Sunderland be making a lot of transfers. I can see Sunderland staying up, which seems baffling to say, but I genuinely think they'll do really well. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
that's fair enough. I mean, I look at the teams coming up and I see Burnley under Scott Parker, and I think to myself, no. I see Leeds, and I don't think that they've got enough goals in them. They lost Manor Solomon, who was one of their key sparks last season. If they
mm.
sign him again, he might do okay for them in the Premier League. I don't know, but I don't think they've got
Why they
enough.
need Rodrigo Muniz apparently.
Well, that ain't going to happen. So, but
No,
yeah, I don't see them having enough firepower. Sunderland is a weird one for me. I think they're signing a lot of players, and I think it might put the nose out of joint of certain other players in the squad. Um, it could be a bit like us in 2018, or it could
yeah.
be like Forest a couple of years back. So you don't know which way it will go. They might
Mm.
do enough, or they might
Granit
fall.
Xhaka is a great addition for them as well, I must add.
Yeah, he's a
Not
fantastic
many,
player,
not
but they've paid stupid money for him, and he's on stupid contract. This is the
yeah.
thing. They've really gone out on a whim to try and stay up, and if it goes wrong, they'll be in trouble. I
Mm.
just wanted to ask you what is your thoughts on why Fulham's window's been so quiet?
Well, that's a good question. Obviously, there's lots of financial rules and stuff. I don't know anything about those because that's all too confusing for me. But from an outsider, from a fan, I genuinely don't know why it's been so quiet. I think obviously you could argue that yeah, Tony Khan likes a last gasp couple weeks deal. Then again, you could argue the current squad has stayed together. We've signed new contracts and stuff, and that's kept the fans happy up to this point.
I
Um,
don't think it has.
and then, well, keeping Kenny Tete certainly did, especially after we almost lost him to Everton. Um, but otherwise, I don't really know why it's been quiet, to be honest. It's been one of those strange ones because the last couple of seasons, we've always made a signing early and we've always gone into the new season with a new hope. Whereas this season, compared to ever since we've been promoted, it feels like at a point where we don't really know what to expect because all of these preseason friendlies haven't really been like giving us a good idea of what to expect when the Premier League starts again. Because the Premier League's on a different like wavelength to any other friendly you could have or any other competition. It's a completely different pace. It's a completely different like turn of teams, etc. So I genuinely don't know what to expect going into the game on Saturday. Nor do I have a clue really why it's been quiet. I'm interested to know your thoughts on why it's been quiet because you know a lot more about the financial stuff than me. So
Well, there's a lot of issues, I think, with the wages. You know, the wage bill is very high, and there's been a lot floating about regarding squad cost ratio. I mean, I don't know a great deal about it. I really don't. And I'm not an accountant, so I'm not going to go into numbers or anything. But from what Kieran Maguire posted and from what Peter Rutzler posted on the Chukwueze tweet he posted out, it seemed to me like Fulham are teetering on the border of that 85% wage budget. that they're allowed. I don't know if this SCR thing will come in next year. I don't know. Like you, I'm not privy to any of this financial stuff really. I do think though that partially the reason is that because if you look at the teams around us, all those teams that pushed for Europe last year, us, Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, Forest. Okay, Forest got Europe. But I was looking this morning and I noticed that they've all sold big assets and they've replaced them with cheaper assets. So I do think these teams, like Bournemouth, for instance, they've signed players, but they haven't strengthened. They've signed Petrovic
Mm.
for Kepa. They've signed Truffert for Kirkes. They've signed Diakate for Zabanier. That's it. They've replaced players. That's all they've done. Forest, the same. Elanga went. They signed Dan and Doy. And Igor Jesus came in as a striker from Botafogo, one of those weird deals that Marinakis does with John Textor. And
Mm.
there's definitely dodgy dealings going on there. But but yeah, I don't know to be honest. Like, Fulham, it's a strange one this summer. It really is.
It
Like
is.
I look at it like every year for the last 2 years, we've sold an asset, and we've sold an asset. Mitrovic went for 47 million euros, I think, something like that. And Palhinha last year, somewhere around the similar mark. I genuinely thought that this summer we'd sell Anthony Robinson. Obviously,
Mm.
he's injured, so maybe that's why he's not gone anywhere yet. I hope we keep hold of him now. I really do. I'd rather keep
Yeah.
the squad together, and I'd rather see what this squad can do. A year older,
Mhm.
okay, but there's youngsters coming through as well. Are we going to see a better Smith Rowe? Are we going to see Josh King play a lot of minutes? I do think, like you, if we add 3 or 4 players, it's an AFCON year, so I really want we must add that.
Mm.
That is stress we have to add. But if we add 3 or 4 players, I do think that we can still compete in the top half.
Oh yeah, fully.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
like you. I'm not up on the finances. I don't claim to be up on the finances. I just see what I read and go with the research from that. But yeah, for me, maybe Marco being in the last year of his contract as well. I think that might have something to do with it. But also, I also look at that and think, well, Kevin ticks all the boxes in terms of a Marco type signing and a data type signing for
mm.
Tony Khan. So are they still working together? Is that the ambitious signing that Marco is looking for? And if we get it over the line, if we get someone like that over the line, will that make him happy enough to sign on the dotted line? There's so many if buts and maybes. But to be honest, and I have thought this for a while, I just think Tony Khan likes the excitement of the last couple of weeks of the window. I think he
Yeah.
loves I genuinely think he loves it. He's a showman. You see that in AEW. He loves being the guy that pulls a rabbit out of the hat. He just loves it.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. I really am. I'm a bit scared because you never know with Fulham who's going to come out
Yeah.
to work, and like we probably will sign Raheem Sterling on deadline day.
Oh,
But
there's so many better wingers we could be aiming for. And with all due respect to Raheem Sterling, because he's a great winger on his day, but he hasn't had his day for a while, at least.
no, but
Um,
I was on a podcast with Fulham Focus last week, and I said to them, I think we could revitalise Sterling the way we did Willian. I think with Robinson bombing on the outside of him, it's going to give him so much space on the inside of the fullback. And
mm.
I just feel like that is such a Marco Silva signing.
Yeah.
If we can get someone like Sterling. Reece Nelson, I'm not sure what's going on there. I hear one week it's done. I hear the next week Arsenal want a loan obligation or a permanent sale. Then
Yeah.
apparently tonight he wants a 1 year loan. God knows what's going on there.
I think Nelson will be one of those things one of those signings that goes down to the wire, or one of those ones that keeps going on a little bit longer. But it's always just going to be looming there.
Yeah, I think that we've got many targets for many positions, and I still think there'll be more to come. Um,
Mm.
Kieran, I wanted to finish with a preview a little bit about Brighton,
Yeah.
and obviously, like we've spoken, we're going in with the same squad. even though Marco said he
Hmm.
wanted 4 players before this first game of the season. A little bit ambitious, but we've still
Yeah,
got
I
a few
mean,
days, so you never know.
it'll be fun to see if Tony Khan can pull anything out of the hat before then, but I don't think so the way it's looking.
No.
So as you say, yeah, going with the same squad. I think one of the main talking points of it with Brighton, obviously, if we lose, we lose. It's the first game of the season. It doesn't set the standard for the rest of the season. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. The first game, don't overreact. We've got the whole 37 game season to finish and get higher, get points, etc. Obviously, it'd be nice to win because it's Brighton, Amex. We haven't won there in a while, and it's the first game of the season. I think Brighton probably might win, but that's a different story. I don't have Brighton. How many signings have Brighton made this season? Or because I know they got De Koopel, I think.
Yeah, they've signed a couple, Boskagli, De Kuyper,
That's
um,
it, Kuiper, not Koopel.
but obviously they've lost João Pedro.
Yeah, João Pedro's a big loss for the
Big,
club
big
because he
loss
was
for
the one that
them.
scored against Fulham on.
So again, yeah, another team around us that have sold a big asset, and we haven't sold
Mm,
a big asset. So for me, the talking points are clearly, does Rodrigo Muniz play?
yeah.
Um, is Cesc fit? Because
Hmm.
otherwise you're going to have to shift Bassi to left back or bring Castagna
Yeah.
in. And does Josh King start?
I really hope Josh King starts because I feel like he will make a big impact. He's got that spot at the moment, and he's going to do anything he can to keep it before we start making signings. People start coming in for him and stuff. I really want to see him do well, and I think he will. He created loads of chances the other day against Frankfurt. We've seen him score goals in pre-season already. I think he's got a big season ahead of him. And I think if he starts on Saturday, that's a good sort of indicator that that's his sort of place that he's having for this season. In the same way Marco did it with Carvalho in the Championship, albeit a different competition, different squad, etc. Carvalho had that place in the team, and he didn't lose it because of how good he was. And I'm hoping Josh King sort of follows in that in the footsteps in that sense. He keeps his place, he keeps performing well, and albeit just yeah, get some goals along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think we've seen from the games in pre-season, the games that have been televised anyway, the Forest game, the Etihad game, and obviously the Frankfurt game. Josh King has been the 10 in every game. And I love watching him play. The way he plays on the half turn, he's so much dynamism about his game, plays with a maturity beyond his years. I love watching him play. He's a little bit physically lacking, but I think with his ability on the ball, that can be made up. He's got great vision, and I think the way Marco's worked with him in pre-season, he's pressing a lot higher, doing that Andreas Pereira role. Um, so yeah, I think for me, I want to talk now. Just talk about the lineup. Um, so for me, it'll be Leno. Clearly, I think he's been pretty decent in pre-season. Tete, Anderson, Bassi, Sess if he's fit. If he's not fit, Bassi at left back, Cuenca in for Bassi. Um, the reliable Sander Berger and Sasa Lukic. Um, I would play Emil Smith Rowe off the left with King and then Harry Wilson because I think he's been on fire in pre-season. Harry Wilson's been brilliant, and also this might be a bit bad, but I would start Raul. I think if there
Mm.
is issues around Muniz, if there is question marks about his future, Raul has to start. And he's not had a bad pre-season. He's been away, won the
Mm.
Gold Cup, come back, scored against Sheffield United, and scored against Frankfurt with an absolutely wonderful free kick.
And he needs to be on free kicks this season. If I see Andreas Pereira step up to take a free kick, I will not be a happy man.
Yeah,
Raul Jimenez, if he's on the pitch, has to take the free kicks just like that.
but well, yeah. I mean, I have to agree. Either him or Harry Wilson. I'm not. Harry Wilson scored one in pre-season as well, so it'd just
Mm.
be nice if Fulham could score a few free kicks this season. Yeah, I don't think we
Yeah,
scored a
and not
free
hit the
kick.
woodwork either.
I don't think we scored a free kick well for a couple of seasons, really.
I felt like it would be if Pete Rutzler was still the athletic reporter for Fulham, it would be one of those Pete Rutzler Klaxon moments where Fulham score a free kick and it's headline news in Pete Rutzler's Twitter feed.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. All right, Kieran, thank you very much for joining me.
no worries, mate.
Hopefully,
Hopefully, we'll have a few more transfers to talk about in the coming weeks.
yeah,
But for now, just sit tight, I guess, Fulham fans.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is coming. I'm sure it is coming. There seems to be some sort of bubbling going on under the surface. Hopefully, we hold on to Rodrigo Muniz, and hopefully, Kevin comes through the door, and a couple more come after him.